Hello everybody, welcome once again back to the channel. We are once again in the car, which means we have seen yet another new film. Tonight's film was none other than the psychological high-stakes thriller, like, how would you, just a thriller film? Thriller film by M. Night Shyamalan, Trap. With me, of course, is DJ, my co-host. It's going to be a long night. My brain is doing the stutters. Anyway, DJ.
This movie was like cocaine for the brain.
Not really, but sure. Sure. I mean, if it was cocaine, I'd actually probably be a little bit more focused and able to put things together. Anyway, putting things together.
I got this.
1 to 10.
10.
Where's the twist, DJ? Where's the twist?
Oh, glory. I actually give it a 9.
It's fair. I think I'll go with an 8.
Fair enough.
The film is solid. Cinematography's good. The direction's pretty good. Acting's pretty good. His name's James Hartman, right? He's the lead?
That sounds right.
He is fantastic in this role. Absolutely fantastic. He is unsettling when he needs to be. He is charming when he needs to be. Every little bit of this film works very well.
I'm pretty sure they just recorded the person who did these things and then just...
That's why he hasn't been in Hollywood for so long. That's the twist, DJ. M. Night Shyamalan set the trap himself.
the film was actually a trap to get him.
It's actually a documentary. But this film is just, it's really, really solid. I think I'd knock it a couple, mainly because I went into it, I kind of overthought it. I'll admit it, that part of my enjoyment lacking is probably just due to the fact that I personally overthought it. This is a very straightforward film.
Self-inflicted.
It was kind of self-inflicted. Overall, though, the film is very, very solid. I probably will be adding it to my collection, just because I think it is worth a watch. It is a very interesting film, and it's
definitely one of the good ones from Shyamalan. It's so for me, the reason I give it a 9 is because the level of tension in this film is perfect.
Oh, you feel it.
There are not very many thriller films, horror films that keep the tension pulled on a string so well, and the ones that do are ones we know by name, like, you know, like the greats in horror and some these things, like Alien, things like
the ending of The Shining.
Yes, like where the tension is just pulled just a perfect amount. It even does a pretty good job of keeping. There's just this consistent. But the difference between a lot of those films and even like a lot of horror films is a lot of horror films have a break.
Right.
They'll have these moments where they think they're okay or think they're safe. Or this film has the tension string pulled tight from the time it starts until the very end.
And when it lets up, you barely notice that it's let up until they pull it again, and then you're like, oh, it's even higher tension. It feels like it's just higher tension, but it's literally just they let it slack for a second and then right back.
Yeah,
it's like minutes.
It's so well done. Some of the cinematography, specifically like the close-in shots, some of the angle shots that they take in this, do such an amazing job of putting small amounts of detail on the screen in a way that makes it just clear what's going on. You get a lot of shots of what's his name again? The main character.
James Hartman?
Yeah, Cooper. It's
Cooper.
Yeah, Cooper is his name.
That's his name in the movie.
His name in the movie is Cooper. The main Cooper and like his daughter and the family and the concert that's happening. They just do these great big wide sweeping shots and close-in angle shots, and they always focus on something that is important. The detail's always good, and there's just always these like. The focus is always where it needs. It just always feels like exactly where it needs to be. And I never felt distracted by anything.
Right. It's not distracting. It feels like it is laser focused to the point where, as an audience, you don't feel like you're missing anything. even if there's those sweeping shots, those really wide shots, it doesn't feel like you're missing anything.
Right.
Whenever there's something really important, the film does a really good job of being able to give it to you like straight out. So it's a very straightforward movie. It's a very simple movie. If you like thrillers, if you like this kind of movie, you're really going to like this film.
Yeah.
It's very well done. It's just one of those things where we can't get into too many details without going into spoilers, but I say that you benefit from watching it in the theater just because there is enough little humor points that having the audience reaction helps with that a little bit.
There was a lot of... this is one of the things I would say that I do think about horror and thriller films do work better with an audience.
Yeah.
Because when you get the reactions of people.
Yeah.
And you get the and the oohs and the holy craps and the experience with a full theater. We had a full theater pretty much.
Yeah.
It's just a really good time. It's definitely worth seeing it with at least a large group of people. If not, the full theater is just a really good time.
Yeah. It's a solid film. It's a good film. I don't know if it's necessarily the best movie of the year.
No, but this is a good
it
summer.
Is very, very solid.
This is a good summer date flick where you go with friends or someone close and you just want to experience a little bit of a jerk for what was 2 hour long.
Yeah, it's about an hour and a half, I think.
Yeah, so
everybody enjoys an hour and a half long jerk.
All right, John, let's go spoilers. Gosh. I will. Just before we do actually get into spoilers, I was gonna. One of the downsides to the film is there is much like a thriller film. There's a good amount of exposition that's pulled through clever ways or different ways and stuff like that. One of the things that they do though is something that I actually had a problem with in the Jason Bourne films, where exposition drops at a little too convenient of a time.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of feels like there's a space. Usually when an exposition dump is about to happen, there's a brief space that it feels like the scene is fake because it's about to drop exposition. There's one specific scene that's actually in the trailer, so it's not really a spoiler, where he talks to a guy who's working at the event, and he drops all of the details, and it was to the point where I kind of leaned over and I was just like, this has to be happening in his head. There's no way this dude is just dropping this much information. So that is one thing. The exposition does get dumped at very...
That's actually the one that I agreed with, and when we get spoilers, I'll give a little more why against some of the other ones. But I get exactly what you're feeling there. But I have a little different take on that one, just specifically because of circumstances. But that is the kind of thing I was talking about. So, spoilers?
Yeah, let's move on into spoilers. Spoilers.
If you keep going at this point, I'm not going to be mad anymore. Get people like, I got a movie ruined for me. Yeah, well, you kept going after we said this. And even if you're sitting in your car and listening to us and not watching it, you could still pause it by this point. Okay, go ahead. That was for one person in particular, and they know who they are. Go ahead.
Honey, why are you so distraught? DJ yelled at me over the YouTube.
No. Like that.
And then he spoiled the movie.
Oh, gosh. Go, John.
Spoilers. The trap works. That's the twist. This film's just really solid. I mean, I overthought it. So here's the thing, not really.
Give them your theory, because it's important.
Yeah,
context.
so probably part of the reason I didn't score it really well, like I said, was I kind of overthought it. So going into the movie when the trailer was releasing, knowing M. Night Shyamalan's thing is the twist, the entire time, the fact that they really kind of showed in the trailer how much it was that he is the butcher, he is the killer, he is the guy. I thought the twist was going to be he's not the killer. Cooper is an FBI profiler who has gone into the event and he is testing all of the defenses in order to make sure that his trap that he has put in place for the butcher is working. This theory kind of started like, so when he does some of these things, I kind of give it a pass, and I'm like, okay, he's just checking the perimeter. He's making sure that the perimeter is secure. He's testing little things. He's making sure that everything's happening, and he's pushing the boundaries a bit to see if anybody's going to stop him, so you can be like, okay, excellent. I feel confident in the trap. Granted, after a certain amount of time, you really can't keep going with that theory, but that theory for me went on long enough.
I really wanted you to be right on that one just because I thought it'd be hilarious and fun. But the one point where I still felt like it could be was when he was looking at the victim in the thing.
I thought he was being blackmailed.
Well, I actually thought that was him, like...
Or live streaming it.
Well, when he's looking at the video, like, I don't know how I'm going to save this kid, but the look in his eyes killed that for me. Because he looked like he was enjoying it.
Yeah.
And then, but the one that really made it very clear that the film is not red herring and it's not trying to redeem this guy is when he knocks the woman down the stairs.
See, and I kept going along with my theory, so I was just like, okay, so he did that to, one, test the outside to make sure that there was some kind of recuperation if something happened, but two, the butcher was going after these vulnerable women, so he was making sure that these women were safe. See, I overthought it. I'm just admitting it. I overthought it.
When I saw her, yeah, she went down way too hard down those stairs.
Yeah, she went down way too hard. And then the fryer scene happens where it blows up, and after that I was just like, he not a good guy.
It's not just blowing her up. It's not just blowing her up in the fryer. It's when he's standing there staring at her suffering and he's enjoying it.
Well, I mean, when it went off.
No, I know.
When it went off, I was like, okay, yeah, he's the bad guy. But then you see him.
Even when it went off, you could probably even say that, like, because they could have at any point made it where he was at the wrong place at the wrong time. Yeah. The point where you are certain is when he's standing there and watching her, like, convulse, and he's just, like, getting off on it. I'm like, yeah, that's not good.
Of course, these scenes happen like halfway through the movie, so like I said, that's probably why I gave it.
There is a large portion of the film, like about half the film, where he's just paranoid, and there's not really getting anywhere. But then it starts to escalate very, very quickly.
Yes,
he starts trying to get out. He's very clever. He's getting all these ways to get out of the building, and he gets a radio. Now, when he gets the exposition from the guy, it makes it very clear as you're watching him, he is an expert at
manipulation. And he's a chameleon.
He's a chameleon, and
he's charming, and he knows the fact that he does not look like the killer. So he plays it off very well, where it's like, oh yeah, Psycho Killer does not come off as like fluid and charming,
or timid, and
and also he brought his daughter, and he played the daughter card where he's being nice. And the other thing too is he manipulates people very quickly and very easily. If you're really paying attention, you kind of can tell when he drops something.
No, the really
like
good...
It's clever when he's manipulating.
The really good... He's a social engineering expert. So the one guy, he makes really good friends with him and just makes him feel good and talks him up. And then he gets him to spill the beans. That makes sense. The guy is feeling burned out. He gets somebody that's paying attention to him. He's someone that's really nice. He seems like the nicest person on the planet.
Exactly.
He then social engineers him to get information out of him. And of course he gives it to him, and then he just goes with him. Now the guy might be a little bit too much of a, you say, well, and I was saying, I'm sitting there like security risk, except for this guy, he does it to everyone. The one moment that was like, oh, this guy's really good is when he's going through the cops.
Oh yeah.
Because he does the thing. I've said this, you hear this, and I'm in, like, IT security and all that stuff. You deal with this stuff. Is the most dangerous person to get through a security checkpoint is to just act like you're supposed to be there. You just walk through like you belong there, and people just assume you belong. He pushes through an army of cops, and they're just like, yeah, go ahead. Because he shows authority, and like, I belong here. He doesn't feel out of place.
Well, and he's an expert at lying to the point where when he's going through a room, he identifies the coffee very quickly. And when he goes and he's when the guy's like, hey, where's the sugar? He's not fumbling around going, oh crap, where's the sugar? Instead, he just goes, oh, the sugar's probably underneath. And he comes up with a story like that where he's just like, oh, Brett probably stole the sugar. Here,
Brett
was from my secret stash.
Brett was supposed to get that. Here, have mine.
Yeah, he was a secret stash. So not only that, it builds that camaraderie. Like I said, when he manipulates people, it's subtle, but it is genius. Because even when he shows up to M. Night Shyamalan in his cameo, the way that he manipulates him to get his daughter to do it, like, you can kind of be like over the top with the leukemia and stuff, but while he's talking to M. Night Shyamalan's character, he literally says choice, because he knows that he's in charge of the choice. So he's talking about his daughter, and he's like, oh, you know, like, she doesn't really want to talk about it, but coming here was her choice. And he emphasizes choice. So it puts it in the guy's head. So it's,
and then he gives a sob story about her having leukemia.
It's one of those things where when you're paying attention to how he interacts with people and how he talks to people, you can see how manipulative he is, but also how calm he is and how unsettling it is that we literally, I think the statistic is that 1 in 10 people or something like that, like every single person in the world at least has walked by 7 or 8 serial killers in their lives, and they didn't even realize it. It's one of those things where it's like, you don't think about him being a serial killer, because if you were in their situation, you'd be like, oh, this is just a goofy dad who's trying to be nice to his daughter and teach her some values about being nice. The nice guy is not the killer. How could the nice guy be the killer? He's not unsettling. He's charming, and he has a daughter. Why would he be a killer?
This felt a lot. Like I said this even in the film. This felt like an episode of Criminal Minds or another like profiling show from the sub's point of view, and the profiler who's in this, like the little details that drop. So that was the problem I had. I didn't mind the guy or so. The exposition is when he walks in the room with the cops, and these happen to be giving a thing on him, and then now when he gets the radio, it makes sense because he's listening to the radio constantly.
He's listening to the radio right when she's coming.
Well, he's always listening to it. They just only let us hear what he's hearing.
Well, no, he put the hearing thing on. The first time he put it on, she's in like the very end
briefing.
Of her
yes,
briefing.
But that was that part, and the other part, the first when he walks in the cops, and when he puts on the earpiece, it just happens to hear her talking, were the two I had a problem with. After that point, you can tell they're only letting us hear the radio when it's something we need to hear. Yeah. Like he's just got it on constantly, and it's just letting us hear in when things are when it's something that's important is happening. Yeah. It's just ignoring the background chatter. Those two moments, those were the only two exposition points that kind of hit like, ew. Like, really? You just happen to walk in the room when they're giving the brief about you. You just happen to put on the thing when that's a little too gooey for me. But
also,
otherwise,
when he does it too, sometimes the briefings hit something where it's just like, you set this trap very intricately, so therefore you had enough time to give this briefing before. Why are you reiterating like his profile?
There's a little too much for the audience exposition that was a little over the top.
But this is overthinking it if you're thinking about it as a movie.
Yeah.
Like if you try to look at it and you're looking for this and looking for something to nitpick, that's kind of one of those things where it's like, yes, it's the exposition trope. We kind of talked about this with the Deadpool and Wolverine thing. Sometimes you don't need to point it out if it's being done well. This one has a couple of moments where it works kind of well, but sometimes it is a little bit too in your face.
It's just too...
And we're looking for it.
It's too convenient. But it's only really at the beginning that happens. Yeah. As the movie progresses, the convenient exposition breaks. Yeah. And there's a really good scene, actually, that kind of ties the movie together. There's two after that point. And that is the reverse twist, the first twist in the film, which is where she takes them to his house, and now she's trapped with him, and there's like a whole thing there, and she has to like think on her feet. Now she's in the position he was in. She's improvising. She's trying to figure out a way to trap him, and it's like a really good reversal. Yeah. That was the first moment. There's just some really, really good scenes, some really good takes in there. The second part is when it's him and the wife.
And the wife reveals
that she's the one that set the trap in the first place. And there's just...
Well, she didn't set it. She set it in motion.
She set it in motion, yes. Yeah. She framed him.
Yeah. Well, not framed. She
She wasn't
dropped the
sure.
evidence that he would not have made.
She wasn't sure if he was the bad guy or not, but she wanted to be certain. She knew something was off. So she's like, hey, either this is going to get him or this is going to prove that I'm just crazy and I'll feel awful about it, but at least I'll know. But I don't blame her. There was a lot of red flags. Like, he had a separate house he was hanging out at. He's getting
multiple.
Yeah, but she found him at one house, and then she's bringing jewelry and stuff, and she's like, this feels like an affair, but maybe not. Something's off. I get it. Like, she was just these vibes that were just hitting her, and so she did that thing, and it caught, it ended up being him. I could actually see, though, this would be kind of funny if there was the reverse somewhere where she did this and it wasn't him. That would be kind of crazy, but it was, and
that'd be a funny twist, actually. If, like, the entire time he's freaking out and it just turns out that he thinks that it's like a deep state cover-up.
That's the alternate.
The butcher's not real. They're just trying to get me.
That's the alternate version of this film. Is he is innocent and the wife framed him and he's just freaking out.
Well, another twist would be that they worked as a team. And she sunk him.
There was a point up until almost the very end where either it was actually her and he was covering for her, or she was in on it. But because even the things that he did, the problem is I kept going back. When you're in the moment, you do that, but you look back and you immediately lose it. No, because they keep making it clear he's getting off on this. It's him. He's in it. Yeah. So but I kept feeling like maybe she's part of it, but it never did. Yeah. That was the last twist I was expecting. The twist that she knew about it was interesting and good, but it felt a little flat when he comes home and she was like, the daughter was like, Dad was acting weird. Oh, how? It's like you could tell like she knows something is up, so you kind of see it. There's a little bit of foreshadowing there. But by the time it hits, it's not really as surprising anymore. It's like, by this time, you're like, no, that actually just makes sense. Like, he made a weird mistake and he didn't understand how they knew these things. That makes sense. Like, that somebody would have set him up. So that came really less surprising. For me, the true twist of the film was the role reversal. When they literally switch places where now the pop star is now the trapped. Yeah, exactly.
Well, she feels trapped because he's literally holding a trigger over her head.
In a social situation. That was clever as all heck.
Well, the fact that he turned it around so quick. That was the thing that got me. It's like, in the course of her being like, I figured out a way to trap him. We go to his house. Now I know where he lives. That's going to force the situation. Within her talking to the daughter, he flipped it on her and he was like, okay, yeah, we're going to go to my house. This is where it is. That's cool. And then he forces her in this weird, trapped social situation where it's like, okay, you can't really do anything because you're in my house. Yep. I control the situation. I am in control.
Yeah, that was really good. Yeah. So I just really enjoyed like the whole, and the tension never gives in because the whole time he's in the concert, you're not sure if are they going to get him or not. You kind of want them to get him because he's awful, but at the same time, you kind of feel like, how is he going to get out of this? And so there's this constant.
You're curious how you're curious how he'll get out of it to the point where you almost cheer for him. You're like, I want him to get caught. He's awful. He's a serial killer. He's the worst. But this is a movie. How is he going to get out of this?
Yeah, it gets and then it roll flips and then basically it starts out the first half of the film. He's in the concert and he's trapped. Then it has the role reversal for a short bit where the flips, and then from that point on to the end of the film, it flips back and forth like 5 times of who's really in charge till they finally get him. And it's just, oh my gosh, when they and then the way it ends is just, I'm not sure really give out the ending even though this is spoiler. It's just,
I think it's hinting at he'll show up again. It just feels like one of those things where he's going to show up in like another M. Night Shyamalan film without him being the main character. That I think he'll be
this feels a lot
another one. It's like when Split became a sequel to Class.
Yeah. Or to Unbreakable.
Mm-hmm. Like the fact that was the twist. I have a feeling that he's setting up another movie and Cooper is going to show up as the
Maybe.
twist, where it's like, okay, yeah, it's not a Cloverfield movie. They're trapped in the basement, and oh yeah, it's Cooper. It's going to be something like that.
Perhaps. But no, it was a good time. Like, that's why I give it a 9. It just, the tension was perfect for me, along with everything else. And honestly, if it wasn't for, like, it is a little nitpicky, but if it wasn't for, like, the weird, like, weirdly, like, perfectly placed exposition, like, all the exposition he earns, I was okay with. The ones that he pulls out of people.
Yeah.
When he talks to the cops, all the ones that he gets when he gets the radio.
It's natural conversation.
Yeah.
Like,
yes.
he forces the conversation. If you're paying attention, you're like, okay, he's getting information.
Yes.
But it makes sense. Like, if you think about it, it makes sense. Somebody in his situation would manipulate someone so that he has awareness.
Yes. Those all made sense. The one that bothered me is when he just happens to gloriously walk in at the most perfect speech to get him exactly what he wants. That literally, that one thing just derailed the film for a good 20 minutes for me before I was able to get back into it. Yeah. That was the point where I was like, nope, you lost me. But then it regarnered with all of him earning the rest of the exposition. From then on, all the exposition was earned. Even though the radio was like perfectly timed, at least he earned his way.
He earned it by grabbing it. So it's like...
Right. And you can say he earned that exposition by getting into that back room, but it's too... I can see her constantly reiterating profile on the radio.
You're looking for. This is who he's going to be.
Like,
this is how he's going to be.
If you listen long enough, you're going to catch that over and over again. My issue is that they just happen to have a captain giving a really perfectly good speech at the right moment. Just... that really did take me out of the film. That was the one moment. Everything else, I probably would have given this a 10 if not for that, and maybe it's a few small other things together would have really given this all the way up for me. Yeah. That's all I got. I'm done.
Anyway, we hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. What did you think about Trap or this review in general? Are there any films that you're looking forward to as we continue on through the end of the year? Summer blockbuster season is coming to a close, which is weird. It feels like just yesterday we were heading into it, but films just aren't really coming out.
It also was kind of slow to start this year.
It really was.
It feels like it didn't pick up until like the end of June, like middle of July, like just
in the last like 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Anyway, let us know your thoughts. Give us a thumbs up if you like this video, and if you haven't already, please consider subscribing. We do a new movie review every single week. Otherwise, we watch old movies and revisit them. We talk about bad movies and make fun of them a little bit, and we just like talking about movie topics in general. So if that interests you, this channel interests you, be sure to share this with your friends. Otherwise, and we will see you guys in the next video.
Thanks for watching.